Okay, guys, we're back with, I'm guessing it's section 9. Don't blame me if I get that wrong. The identification and justification of ideas and resources used within your project. So, some people would make this a formal section. Some people might have done it during their experimentation and testing. I think it makes it clear if you just a couple of pages, maybe 3 pages on the identification and justification of the ideas and resources used makes it really easy for the person that's reading your portfolio to understand what you did. Again, the opening statement, that's going to help your teacher understand that you understand what you're doing. And it's going to help the marker understand that you understand the design process, whether or not there's any marks involved in it. I think there's probably fractions of marks here and there. Important, don't have the space, get rid of it. You need to list each idea and resource that you've used, how each resource impacted your design project, and of course, a final evaluation. So, band 6 is that word justifies. In the introductory video, we're talking about what some of these words mean, but justifies the selection and use of ideas and resources used for the major project or product system or environment. And I'm not going to talk about this too much, but I'll just let you pause there for a minute if you want to look at it. It can be broken down into different categories. What were the resources that I used? What were the ideas that I had? Resources. In this case, seriously, there's 20 different ways to do it. But in this case, thinking about resources, what were the materials? What were the tools? What were the techniques? What other resources did I have? Simple scaffold for you. Resource or idea identification could be either, but say resource identification. Justification, because we're trying to justify in this section, and the impact on my MDP. Justification, why was that important? Like, why did I actually use that resource? What did it do for me? And then how did it impact my MDP? So, a lot of these scaffolds, guys, you probably can't go too wrong if you put the right words in the boxes, but hopefully that helps. HSE marker comments. In better responses, candidates identified the most relevant resources and justified their application and value. So, quick look at a sample here. Identification, justification of ideas and resources. This is why it's important. Like, seriously, it does. It closely links to the application of conclusion section. It closely links to the other parts of the folio. I can read that and go, yeah, he kind of gets what it's doing. Materials, so it's listed as materials, justification for using them, how it impacted his MDP. Too easy. Tools, again, what he needed. It was a workshop project, wasn't it? So the band saw the router, some hand tools, used the 3D printer a bit, bits and pieces of other stuff. We pulled out the old MIG welder and we don't have metalwork for this particular student at this particular school, so pulled something out. Some other resources, what they were, industry and experts and focus groups. Seriously, guys, if you don't have these back in the start of the portfolio and in your research, experimentation, and testing, just find someone who knows more about you than what it is that you're doing and talk to them, because it's pretty important. And an evaluation at the end. So, didn't really. You could go back, just going back a sec. Could have done the ideas a bit more, like the identification of what ideas he had and then justify them. May or may not be needed, but yeah, that was the only thing I could really pick out of that. But it was still a high level response to that section. He actually did it, so I don't think it hurts to actually have it in your portfolio rather than having it like embedded in other sections. But that is what the identification and justification of ideas and resources looks like. So thanks a lot, guys. Check out the introductory video if you're not sure about anything, or just periodically go back to that and have a look at it, because it's a confusing process. This, honestly, I did industrial design at university and many other things in my life, and this is one of the biggest things that you'll do. So keep on top of it and keep looking at what the advice might be. Thanks.